Hey guys, I hope you're all having a great day today because today we're going to talk about a not so great game, and that is, of course, Highguard. Now, the first time that I ever heard or seen anything about Highguard was at the Game Awards 2025 when they decided to show this game off as their one last big reveal. And let's just say that did not go over well with the viewers of the Game Awards. From the very second that this game was shown off at the Game Awards 2025 for the first time, it was slammed by pretty much everybody who was watching the Game Awards 2025 for being yet another live service hero shooter game, having a very bland Apex Legends-like art style, and showcasing a character with the Zoomer broccoli haircut that a lot of people are sick of in the modern gaming industry. It also really didn't help that they advertised this game as a game from the creators of Apex Legends and Titanfall instead of letting the game stand on its own merits. This whole from the creators of tactic that I see a lot of modern game devs use is quickly becoming a red flag to me. And the first big game I think of whenever I see a from the creators of is Mind's Eye. They used from the creators of GTA to advertise that game, and look how it turned out. But getting back to Highguard, when this game was first revealed, everyone was calling this game Concord 2.0, and I think the pressure was really hard on the developers because they literally went silent. From the first time they showed this game off at the Game Awards up until launch, it's almost like they were embarrassed by this game. The idea of becoming the next big failure like Concord probably scared them out of the spotlight, but now that the game is actually out, let's talk about it because I have a lot of thoughts on this. Starting off, let's talk about the gameplay of Highguard. Highguard is a 3v3 hero shooter, and there is only one mode available, at least at launch. And that mode, in my opinion, is not very good. The mode is called Raid Mode, and it starts out with you and your team at your base having to put some reinforcements down on the walls. Each teammate gets 5 wall reinforcements, and this phase lasts for a minute. It is very important where you place your reinforcements on the walls because walls that are not reinforced an enemy can just pickaxe through or even just shoot through and run straight into your base. Once this phase is over and the minute runs out, you move on to the looting phase of the game. You all venture out into the map, all 6 players, and collect loot just like Fortnite or Apex Legends or any other Battle Royale game, and you can also mine crystals to buy upgrades in the shop and buy weapons in the shop. Now personally, I don't really like this whole loot system because you can be put at a massive disadvantage because you didn't get as good of loot as someone else. There have been multiple times where I've played this game and I have lost a gunfight because the enemy has better armor than me, or a better weapon than me, and my weapon just does fucking no damage. That is very frustrating. And another thing I hate about this phase is the fact that the map is so big, so that when you're out looting, you barely ever run into any enemies. That is until the next phase, which I feel is the best phase of this game, and that is what I like to call the Shield Breaker phase. During this phase, a big glowing sword spawns somewhere in the map, it marks it on the map for you, and everyone runs over to be the first person to grab the sword. Whoever grabs the sword then needs to run as fast as possible to the enemy base and start a raid on the enemy base. This phase is the most action-packed because everyone's fighting over control of this one device that's marked on the map, and whoever has it is also marked on the map. So this phase is pretty much non-stop action. And I would be lying if I said I didn't at least have a little bit of fun every time I got into this phase of the game. But once somebody manages to grab the shield breaker and run all the way to the enemy base while being protected by their teammates, and plants the shield breaker on the enemy base, they start a raid on that base, and this is what I like to call the raid phase. During this phase, you run into the enemy base to plant bombs on their generators to lower the enemy health. Every generator you destroy lowers the enemy base health. And this works kind of like Search and Destroy in Call of Duty, where you plant the bomb on the enemy generator and you then have to defend it so they don't come and defuse it. Obviously, if you lower the enemy base health all the way down to 0, you win the game. Also, there's this one more risky objective that you can go for that's not a generator, that if you manage to destroy, you auto-win the game. Now, the risky part about this is when you go to actually plant a bomb on this generator, it gives the enemy a lot longer to defuse that bomb. And depending on how much of the enemy base you destroy and how much you lower the enemy base health, you either win the game or you get sent back to the loot phase again and then get sent into the shield breaker phase again, and then you have to start another raid on the enemy base, or alternatively they start a raid on your base and you're the one who has to defuse the bombs. You will see in the gameplay I attached here, we actually end up winning the raid phase completely and it just wins us the game. But even when I would win a game of Highguard, I never felt good after. I was just relieved that it was over. That is a very simplified breakdown of the gameplay in Highguard. Now, obviously, there's a lot of stuff that I'm not going to get into in today's video, like when you will and will not be able to respawn, the reviving mechanics, all the different abilities, stuff like that I'm not going to get into. If you see this gameplay and you actually think this would be something that you would be interested in, I recommend going and watching an actual in-depth review of the game. But me personally, after about 3 hours of this game, I just couldn't take it anymore, man. My biggest problem with this game wasn't the gunplay. It wasn't the heroes. It wasn't the abilities. All that stuff was fine in my opinion. It was just how derivative the game felt. Every mechanic felt like it was just ripped out of a popular game and just mushed together. You start off reinforcing walls just like Rainbow Six Siege, then you run out into the map and loot just like a battle royale. The HUD feels like it was ripped straight from Apex Legends. You have to go out and harvest, just like Fortnite with your pickaxe. At the end, you do a raid that feels like it was ripped straight from Search and Destroy from Call of Duty. And speaking of Call of Duty, they have the same sort of bundle system with the shop. The game is buggy as fuck, at least on PC. My friend, when he booted up the game, tried to do the tutorial that they force you to do before you go into multiplayer, and every time he would load into it, it would just kick him back out.
Nope.
Bro.
Oh, Christ.
Wait, okay.
Bro,
Try again.
So far.
Bro can't even get in. That's crazy. And it kicks him out.
I can't even go into 3v3 because this retard of a fucking developer doesn't know how to make their fucking game work.
It's almost like God was trying to send him a message not to play the game when it continued to kick him from doing the tutorial. That, by the way, you're forced to do before you go and play online. I don't really have anything positive to say about this game. I regret downloading it. It was a waste of my time, SSD space, and the minuscule amount of SSD health this game took from my SSD. And I am certainly not the only one who dislikes this game. When I go to SteamDB, you can see the game peaked at around 93,000 concurrent players. That's pretty good, right? Well, it immediately nosedived off of a cliff after that, because most people realize this game is not that good, and when you go to the reviews of the game, it is currently sitting at mostly negative. 38% of the 21,132 reviews are positive. I don't have much else more to say about this game. If you enjoy the game, that's great. You have a brand new game to play that's free to play with all of your friends. That's awesome. I'm happy for you. But me personally, I can't get into this shit. And with that, I'm closing out the video. If you guys agreed with the video or liked the video, leave a like. If you didn't like the video, you can leave a dislike and a mean comment. I'm out.